Many years ago, in the beautiful city of Onitsha, there lived a man named Ebuka. Ebuka was a strong and hardworking businessman that was known for his dedication to his family. He had a thriving importation business and was bringing in goods all the way from China and Dubai. And so for many years, his family never lacked anything. Ebuka was married to a very beautiful woman whose name was Adora. Adora was very beautiful. She was a soft life girlie. She did not come to this world to suffer at all. She had a heart that loved only luxury and comfort. And Ebuka made it his point of duty to give her the soft girl life that she so desired. Ebuka and Adora had just one son, who they named Chiemele. He was the apple of their eyes. Ebuka loved his family dearly and made sure that they lived very comfortably. He paid Chiemele's school fees on time, he took care of the household, and even indulged Adora's expensive taste. Adora always wanted the finest things, from the latest lace materials to the finest gold jewelry, the most extravagant parties with her friends, and Ebuka made sure that he provided every single thing for her. Ebuka was a man who loved to spoil his wife. He was one of those Igbo men who strongly believed that his success was meaningless if his family did not enjoy the fruit of his labor. He derived pleasure in seeing his wife happy. One evening, he surprised Adora with a trip to Dubai for their wedding anniversary. She had been talking about wanting to travel outside the country for a while, and Ebuka made it happen. Adora was so happy. And a few days after they arrived in Dubai, Adora was excited. Ebuka, this place is so beautiful, she screamed, running her hands over the silky white bedspread. How did you do all of this for me? Adora asked excitedly. Ebuka simply smiled and pulled her close to him and then said, "You deserve the very best. I would literally do anything for you, my queen." Ebuka replied lovingly. So during the trip, he took her shopping at the famous Dubai Mall and bought her designer bags, shoes, perfumes without even looking at the price tags. Adora's job was just to simply point at what she wanted, and Ebuka would swipe his card with pride. Ebuka was happy to buy anything that his wife picked. Throughout their trip, Ebuka just kept on pampering and spoiling his wife silly. Adora was so excited. Anytime Adora hung out with her friends, she always told them nice things about her husband. She never failed to sing Ebuka's praises every single time. "My husband is the best man in the world. He's the real definition of Odogo Parara. Ah, this man spoils me silly. I'm so happy that I married him. He pampers me like egg. He treats my world like final. He literally buys anything that I ask of him. He takes me on expensive trips. Ah, my husband is a real man. You see, in my next life, if there's anything like that, I will still marry him again." Adora would say proudly to her friends. And then Amaka, her very close friend, will reply and say, "Ha, Adora, you are blessed too. God knows that if I had a husband like Ebuka, I would treat him like a king. Because men like that are very scarce." So Amaka replied. Some of Adora's friends were in admiration of her and were genuinely happy for her, while others were envious of her. Ebuka loved his wife so dearly, and he did not fail to show it. He would even throw surprise birthday parties at the most prestigious hotels in town just for her. He would invite friends and family, and he spared no expense at any event that he organized for her. Ebuka literally bought a brand new car for his wife every single year. Adora was happy. Ebuka spoiled her silly, and she reciprocated his love. She would always call him different pet names, from my king to Odogu, to even my master. She respected her husband and tried her best to make him happy. She was so soft with her husband and would rub his head lovingly. She treated her husband like a big baby. She pampered him silly. She cooked delicious meals and fulfilled her marital obligations to him anytime, any day. At that moment, Adora and Ebuka had a very blissful and happy marriage, and it seemed like Adora was the perfect wife. She was loving and appreciative. Her friends believed that she was the luckiest woman alive. But barely 5 years into their marriage, and things began to change for their happy family. Ebuka's business took a downturn very quickly. His goods that he used all his savings, home and abroad, to buy, he even took a loan that was worth millions of naira, was seized due to a new government policy. Ebuka was very devastated. He tried his best to recover his goods, but it was to no avail because the federal government even went ahead and set his goods on fire. Ebuka was broken. He wept for many days. He had gone from being a wealthy man to a broke man who was owing several people and several banks. His debts had piled up quickly, and his trusted business partners had abandoned him. Suddenly, Ebuka, who was once very wealthy and did not even know what to do with money, was now struggling to put food on the table. Adora was very patient and very understanding. She reassured her husband that things would get better. She would even fast and pray, begging God to please restore her husband. But as the weeks turned into months and the months into years, Adora's patience began to run out. They were feeding from hand to mouth, and Ebuka had begun selling his cars and other valuables just so that he could put food on the table. He even sold his house that he and his family lived in, and they had to move into a smaller apartment. By this time, it was now Ebuka that was the one begging his wife Adora to please be patient with him, that he was trying his best to stand on his feet again. One evening, Ebuka returned home looking exhausted. He was drenched in sweat. He looked broken as he sat in his parlor. He looked at his wife with a mixture of frustration and disappointment. And then he said to her, Adora, my love, Achalugo, I know things have been difficult for us, but please be patient with me. I am trying my best. All you can do for me right now is to pray and ask the Lord to help me. Ebuka said, looking very sad. Trying, K. For how long, Ebuka? I married a man who used to provide for me, who gave me everything. Now I'm stuck in this suffering. Ebuka, I need you to stop trying and start doing. Start doing something. Take action for God's sake. Adora replied angrily, and Ebuka did not even know when tears began streaming down his eyes. But yet he looked at his wife and said, Adora, I promise you that things will change. Things will not always remain like this. We'll definitely go back to the way it used to be before. I just need some more time. Because, Ebuka said, crying. But Adora replied angrily and said, time, K. How much time do you need in your hands? Look around. Take a good look around. Look at where we live now. Just look at how we have fallen from grace to grass. Can't you see that our son is growing? Is this the kind of poverty-stricken life that you want him to grow up to? I cannot continue like this. Look at me now. I'm a soft life girlie. I don't deserve to suffer like this. I'm a high maintenance lady. My friends have even started mocking me because of how poor we have become. Adora replied sulking. Ebuka was broken by the hurtful words that his wife had said. Yet he reached out to her, holding her hand gently, and then said, Haba, Adora, have you forgotten so soon that things were not always like this? Don't you remember how life was for us before, when we had everything? How I showered you with gifts and comfort. I never for one day let you lack. All I'm asking for now is a little patience. I will definitely rise again. You of all people should know that I am not lazy. Besides, this soft life that you're talking about, was I not the one who introduced you to this soft life? Who were you before I married you? Were you not a secondary school dropout who was hawking bread on the streets of Onitsha? I picked you up, I cleaned you, I gave you my last name, and I made you the sophisticated young lady that you are now. I'm not saying you should thank me for it. All I'm saying is that now that I am in my downtime, please just be patient with me. Because, Ebuka replied sadly. But all his pleas fell on deaf ears. Adora was sick and tired of being the understanding wife. Ebuka, on the other hand, was always worried. He was always lost in thought. All his efforts to start his business again were futile. And soon enough, his wife Adora began to change under his nose. She started going out at odd hours, dressed in skimpy outfits, and returning home late. And soon, rumors started circulating everywhere that she was seeing another man, a wealthy businessman, who was spoiling her with gifts. Adora would go out in the morning and come back late at night with several gifts. She had done this a few times, and one day, Ebuka could not take it any longer. So he confronted her and said, Adora, Ogeni, what is it? I have been seeing you go out early and come back late at night with lots of gifts and with no explanations of where you are going to or who you are going to see. How do you even get all these expensive gifts? Because you and I know that things are very tough for us and you have no job or money. So you do not have the money to buy anything. And besides that, I have been hearing rumors that you're cheating on me. Many of my friends have seen you times without number. Adora, why are you doing this to me? Omakego, is it because of money, lack of money? Have you forgotten that we have a son together? Ebuka said sadly. But Adora simply scoffed and said, I beg, Biko, do not stress me. If you use the same energy that you use in monitoring me or listening to gossips to make money, by now our lives would be better and we would become multi-millionaires. But no, you prefer to sit down and be monitoring me like a lazy man. You keep stressing my life non-stop. Adora replied as she walked out angrily on her husband. Adora had become wild and uncontrollable. She no longer feared or respected her husband. But she was not just cheating on her husband. She was now mocking him before the same people that she had praised him before. Whenever her friend Amaka came over to the house, she would complain loudly so that her husband would hear her. And she would say things like, can you imagine that my husband used to be a man? Now he's just a shadow of himself. I thought that I married a king, an Odogu silencer, an Odogu parara. But see my life. Instead, I married an odd Diego. I can't believe that I'm the one suffering like this. Adora said to her friend Amaka, looking upset. Ebuka had overheard their discussion and felt so humiliated. Ebuka felt so bad, but he continued to provide for his family in the little way that he could. Each time he went to any of his friends to borrow money to feed his family, he would literally give most of the money to Adora, yet she was not satisfied. Adora was tired of being poor and so began to invent more cruel ways to deal with her husband. I need to make my husband's life miserable so that he will go out there and hustle for money. He needs to work hard. I can't put up with a lazy man. If I behave like the patient and understanding wife, then he will not work hard and we will remain in poverty. Me, I cannot suffer. Oh. So I'm going to make his life miserable. He has not even seen anything yet. He will stand up and go and work like his mates. Adora said to herself, fuming. So in addition to every other thing that she did to her husband, she stopped cooking for him. With the little money that he gave her for the family upkeep, she would use it to buy foodstuffs and would lock the foodstuffs in the cupboard. And when it was time for her to cook, she would only cook for herself and Chiemele. She would not give her husband any food. She and her son would literally sit together eating their food, while her husband Ebuka would be staring at them as they ate, tears streaming down his eyes. Ebuka could not believe that this was what his life had been reduced to, a whole importer like him. He could not believe that his wife could ever treat him the way she was doing. Many nights he stayed awake in his room, thinking about his life and weeping profusely. He began to pray to God to change his story. He begged God to bless him again and prosper him. Ebuka even fasted for 21 days. After all, his wife was barely giving him food. So he could as well just turn his starvation into fasting and prayer. He prayed fervently for God to change his story. And one day, God remembered him and answered him and showed him favor. It all started one evening when he went to visit his old friend Ifeanyi. And Ifeanyi told him about a government contract opportunity. Ibuka was so grateful for the information, and so he bidded for the contract. And a few weeks later, he was awarded the contract. Ibuka made so much money from that contract. He was happy. At last, God had heard him. His life had changed for good. He became a wealthy man, but he hid this information from his wife. He did not tell her that their financial status had changed. They were no longer poor. Meanwhile, Adora continued to treat him very badly, not knowing that her husband was no longer poor. By this time, Ibuka had secretly built a brand new house and even bought a new car. He was planning to move his family out of their simple home soon. One evening, and Adora went to harass Ebuka as usual, thinking that it was business as usual. She walked up to him and said, Ebuka, can you imagine that your mate, my friend's husband, just bought a brand new house for them? And look at me, still stuck in this pitiful excuse of a marriage. I don't know how long I can continue to suffer like this. So, Adora said, with disdain written all over her face. Then Ebuka simply smiled and said, well, I did not plan to tell you like this. But then again, there is no right time to tell you. I just built a house. Ebuka said, smiling proudly, and then went ahead and narrated how God had blessed his life and how he had been rich for the past 4 months. Adora was so happy. She screamed and gave her husband a big hug. I knew it. I knew that you can do it. I knew that you would rise again. I know the kind of man that I married now. Is it not Odogu? My king, my husband, my master, the crown on my head. You are a man. You are a man. You will walk it. I love you so much. Maybe you can see now that everything I did was to put you on your toes. And can't you see that it worked? Now my husband is back. The mama is back. Welcome back. When can we go and see our new house already? I'm tired of living in this shithole. Adora replied excitedly. Ibuka just stared at Adora in disbelief. He was shocked at the 360-degree change. So his wife could praise him like this. So he was now suddenly a king and a master. Wonders shall never end, Ebuka said aloud to himself. So a few days later, and they moved into their new mansion. Adora stared at her new house in awe and admiration. Ah, we are back. This is the life that I know. This is the life that I'm used to. You see, all those friends that we lost will now come back begging us for our friendship again. But you see, this time around, we will not accept them so easily, Adora said, beaming with pride. Ebuka just stared at her. He did not even utter a word to her. But 3 days later, after they had settled down into their new home, Ebuka spoke to his wife Adora and said, Adora, Adora, ordinarily, you should no longer be my wife. With the way you treated me when I was poor, in our customs and traditions, you should never take back a woman that cheated on you. Adora, you were cheating on me just because I was broke. And even from the little money that I was able to source, that I borrowed from friends and gave you to use to manage the home. Adora, you will buy foodstuffs and lock it in the cupboard just so you would hide food from me. And even when you cooked food, Adora, you will not give me food. You will make me watch you and our son eat. And even when our son tries to offer me his food, you will scream at him and beat him. Ah, Adora, I never knew that this part of you existed. Adora, you hurt me in more ways than I can explain. Ah, if anybody had told me in my life that Adoram, the girl that I picked up, that I took very good care of for years, would treat me like this, I would have said it was a lie. You thought I was going to remain poor, but you're a liar because God blessed me. And suddenly, you are now all lovey-dovey. It is now that you remember that I am your Lord, your master, your husband. When last did you call me all these names? Anyway, it is well. But now that I know your true color, things are never going to remain the same. Yes, I will continue to provide for the home like I have always done. But you see, anything that has to do with your personal expenses, I will no longer provide it. So if you want to make your hair or buy your cream or do any other personal thing that you want to do, any personal item, please use your money. I will no longer provide for you. So if you do not have money, I suggest that you go get a job. And if you think of cheating on me to take care of yourself, please, I'm begging you in the name of God, cheat on me. Because I'm simply looking for one excuse to kick you out of my house. Ebuka said angrily. And immediately, Adora fell to her knees, pleading and begging Ebuka, saying, I'm sorry for all that I did to you, because forgive me, Dimoma. It was the devil's handwork. I was not in my right senses. I just did all of that to make you get back on your feet. If I didn't do that, you would have still been poor. I did it from a place of love. Please, Dimoma, forgive me, my husband. Adora said, crying. But all her pleas fell on deaf ears because Ebuka's mind was made up. Ebuka no longer gave his wife any money. Adora was sad. She begged and begged him, but nothing changed. So Adora had no choice than to go get a job. She started looking for a job, but because she had no skills and qualifications, she could not work in a proper organization. She had no choice than to opt for a manual job. And after several days of searching, she finally got a job as a cook at an eatery. Every day she would go to the eatery and work her ass out. Adora hated her new life. She worked hard every day. And at the end of the month, she went back home with peanuts. Her salary was 15,000 naira, and it was barely enough for her personal upkeep, hair, nails, and clothes. Adora was frustrated. She regretted how she treated her husband when his business went sour. She missed being pampered and spoiled silly by him. She missed the times when her husband bought her gifts and took very good care of her. Those times when she did not have to work a day, but yet dressed up in the finest of clothes and expensive jewelry. She missed being Oga's wife. Now she was stuck, cooking food and washing dishes at an eatery, a whole rich man's wife like her. Now she understood the value of money, that money was difficult to get, and she appreciated the times that her husband was the one providing for her. She continued to beg and plead with her husband to forgive her and treat her like he once treated her. But Ebuka's mind was made up. Even though he was still married to her and they continued to live like strangers, Ebuka spent his money on himself and his son. They both enjoyed the finest things of life, while Adora continued to work tirelessly as a cook. She wished that she could change back the hands of time, but it was too late. She proposed that she was going to continue to beg for forgiveness till he changes his mind. She had learned her lesson that you should never judge anybody based on their present situation in life, as things could change very rapidly for somebody, that a person who was once poor can become rich overnight. Adora had learnt a valuable lesson. Hi, besties! It's your favorite storyteller, Omalicha. Thank you so much for watching my story to the end. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on this one. If you were in Ebuka's shoes, would you forgive your wife completely? And let bygones be bygones and start treating her the way you were treating her before, pampering her, treating her like a queen, spoiling her silly. Or would you have behaved the exact same way that Ebuka behaved? Please share your thoughts with me in the comment section, and please support your home girl, Omalicha, by subscribing to my channel, liking my videos, and sharing with your loved ones. So now, till I come your way again with more interesting stories, bye! In the small town of Umwogele, which was bustling with life and excitement, and where everyone literally knew everyone. In this community, children were never raised by their parents alone, but by every single member of the community. Life was very simple here. The people were very contented. Their men had simple jobs. Some worked as goldsmiths, while others as mechanics, and others owned shops where they sold different things. While their women worked as hairstylists or tailors or even teachers. Late in the evenings, the men would usually gather together in front of Akanu's shop. Akanu was the only Baba in Umwogili, and so he was very busy because all the men came to his shop to cut their hair every single day. And even those that did not want to barb their hairs also came because they were sure that they would see their friends. So Akanu's shop was the happening spot every single day. So while the men caught up and hung out in Akanu's spots, the ladies also visited Madame Ngozi's shop after they were done cooking meals for their home. Madame Ngozi was a hairstylist, and right there in her shop was the headquarters of gossip. There was nothing happening in Umogele that she did not know about. The community was really a close-knit one. Then one day, a beautiful young lady called Ifenkili moved into Umogele community, and soon everyone was talking about her. Umogele was a very small town, so even if a rat moves into that town, everyone will know. So it was no surprise that everyone knew that there was a new lady in town. But even if they did not want to notice her, they couldn't help it. Because Ifenkili was very curvaceous, with very big bum bum, and was busty as well. And she dressed quite seductively. And most of the women were unsettled by her presence in the community. Who is this lady, Seth? And what does she even want in our little town? Some asked, and others replied and said, see how she's even dressed like a prostitute. She should not come here and corrupt our women, no. Madame Ngozi interjected. And then Isine replied and said, I think we should ostracize her. No one should talk to her. That way, she would feel very uncomfortable and will know that she's not welcome here. And then she will go back to where she came from. Izine said mischievously, and they all agreed to it and busted out into laughter. So a few days later, Ifenkili had settled down in her new home. It was very simple and nothing fancy, but it was home to her. For many days, Ifenkili thought of the business that she could start. So she decided that she was going to start food business. At least she was sure that everyone needed food for survival, and so people would buy from her. So a few days later, with so much excitement, Ifenkili left her house very early in the morning to the morning market, which was at the outskirts of town, where villagers usually brought foodstuffs and sold to neighboring town at very cheap prices. And a few hours later, and she was done buying, she went back to Umogili looking very excited at the prospect of making so much money if she was able to sell off all her goods. So Ifenkili walked to the market and displayed her foodstuffs. She even pegged them at very low prices just so that people would be more inclined to buying from her. She even had a very big cheerful smile on her face as she called out to customers. Ah, fine auntie, come and buy my yam so and my fresh tomatoes. It's very cheap and very fresh. I even bought it this morning, Ifenkili said as she called out to passers-by. But no one stopped by her stall to even buy anything, not even one person. Instead, they walked up to their regular customers to patronize them, while some market women just whispered among themselves and laughed at her. And things continued like this for the next few days. No one came to patronize her. And because most of the things that she had bought were perishable goods, Ifenkili had no choice than to cook them and eat. As she sat on her couch one day, eating the food which she was supposed to sell, she thought aloud and said to herself, "Why do these women hate me so much? It is as though they all ganged up against me, as if they all came together and reached a consensus not to buy from me, despite the fact that my prices are way cheaper than theirs. What did I even do to them? Anyway, I need to find a way to win their trust and their love so that they would accept me as one of them." Ifenkili said aloud to herself, looking very worried. So Ifenkili decided to observe the town a little bit more, and that was when she noticed that Madame Ngozi's salon was more or less every lady's spot, especially in the evenings. So she felt that if she could become Madame Ngozi's customer and get her to like her, then maybe Madame Ngozi would tell the other women nice things about her, and maybe they would start liking her and make her feel more welcome in Umogili. So the following day, Ifenkili dressed up and went to the salon. "Hi ma, please, I would love to make my hair," Ifenkili said with a big smile on her face. But to her surprise, Madame Ngozi just replied her and said, "I'm sorry, I will not be able to make your hair. As you can see, I am very busy." Madame Ngozi replied in hostility, "Ah, no problem at all, ma. I will wait for you to be done with the hair that you're making," Ifenkili replied eagerly, as she was more than determined to be in Madame Ngozi's good books. But Madame Ngozi simply replied and said, "Auntie, no need to wait for me. I still have other appointments, even though they are not here yet. I do not want to keep them waiting when they come. So please find someone else who can help you make your hair." Madame Ngozi replied angrily. And so, Ifenkili had to leave. She had gotten the message loud and clear. The women did not like her and did not want her in their town. Ifenkili was very sad. She sat down in her home all night thinking about her life. She had to find a way to make money. As the money she had come into Umogile with was going down very quickly, some days she thought long and hard on what business to venture into. But she knew that whatever business she decided had to be one that men would patronize her, since the women had ganged up against her. So one day, she came up with a perfect plan. She knew the exact business that she was going to do. So she went ahead. and rented a beautiful shop and began to renovate it. Many of the ladies who saw her shop laughed and mocked her as they passed by, even though they did not know what business she was going to start up. Who will patronize this one? Someone that no one bought anything from in the market. Wonder shall never end. And now she has come to rent a shop. I wonder what she will sell this time. The ladies laughed and mocked her as they passed by, but Ifenkili kept her cool. And a few weeks later, her shop was opened and looking very beautiful. Lo and behold, it was a barbing salon that had a beer parlor and even a television in it. And as usual, the ladies who passed the front of her shop laughed at her and mocked her to stupor. Biko, when did a woman start barbing hair? Who will even patronize this one? Definitely not my husband or my brother. If not, they will have me to contend with. The ladies said among themselves. But Ifekili did not care. If the women were not going to buy from her, then she was going to sell to the men. So Ifenkili started dressing very seductively. She would also put on loud music in her shop. Then she would go to the front of her shop and shout aloud, I am giving free haircut to the first 10 persons who come in to have a haircut. Ifenkili would scream at the top of her lungs. But most men, even though they were intrigued and tempted to go in and get a free haircut, they did not take up her offer for fear of their wives, because they knew that their wives would be mad at them if they did. So for 3 weeks, Ifenkili showed up every single day and opened her salon, yet no one stopped by. But Ifenkili was very determined this time. A few weeks later, and it was Champions League, and unfortunately, the transformer that was supplying light to the whole of Umogili had blown up. Ifenkili saw this as an opportunity and then put a signpost in front of her shop that read, Come and watch Champions League. Some of the men who did not have the money to buy fuel and put in their generator to watch the Champions League decided to go to Ifenkili's salon. Immediately they entered the shop, they were shocked at how beautiful and cozy the ambience was. Here is so nice. Emeka said to Ifenkili, Oh, thank you, sir. Oh, please make yourself comfortable, sir. You're welcome. Ifenkili replied, smiling, and then went ahead to serve them cold and chilled beer, and then put on the television for them. Emeka and Arinze began to watch football excitedly. Ifenkili was so happy. And after they were done watching the match, she barbed their hair. And even though she charged them 2,100 naira, which was 3 times what Akanu, the popular barber, charged, they were more than happy to pay, because the service and luxury that they experienced was second to none. The men paid and waved Ifenkili goodbye. Ifenkili was so happy. This was a good sign. So the next day, some more men came. Emeka and Arinze had spread the news about the top-notch service they had received in Ifenkili's salon, and at how good she was with barbing hair. And so from that day onwards, lots of men started trooping in to barb their hair at Ifenkili's salon. Most of them came to watch football, but barb their hair too. Ifenkili's shop was always filled to the brim. She was always overbooked and very busy. Ifenkili was so excited. She was making a lot of money. But apparently, she was the only lady who seemed to be happy in the whole of Umogili, because many happy homes were no longer happy as the women began quarreling with their husbands for visiting Ifenkili's salon. Papa Chika, what is wrong with you? Why will you go to that useless girl to cut your hair? Are you sure that it's only your hair that you're going there to cut? What happened to Akanu's shop? Why can't you go and let a man barb your hair? Why is it a woman that is touching your head? Madam Chika screamed at her husband, Papa Chika. Then Papa Chika replied angrily and said, "What is wrong with you, woman? Do I report to you? When did you become the head of this house? This should be the first and last time that you ever in your life question me again. Did you hear me?" Papa Chika screamed angrily at Mama Chika. And soon enough, the ladies started gathering in clusters in Madame Ngozi's shop to discuss this new development. Can you imagine that our husbands are now going to that silly girl's salon to get a haircut? I am sure that she's not only giving them a haircut, she's also giving them something else. Chiamaka screamed angrily. My dear, we need to do something, no, and we need to act fast because that girl is a Jezebel. I will not be surprised if she has an inner chambers in that her salon where she's busy giving another private service to our husbands. Mama Chika interjected. The ladies were very furious. Meanwhile, Ifenkili was very happy. All the men, married and single, were always flocking in and out of her shop. She knew that the ladies were not happy with her, but she did not care. After all, they had refused her hand of friendship and had also refused to buy anything from her when she sold at the market. And things continued like this for a few more weeks. By this time, some women had even become more agitated and had gone to confront Ifenkili. You, this woman, leave my husband alone, no, Ashawo. Just go back to wherever you are coming from. You're not needed here. Chinelo backed at Ifenkili as she jumped on Ifenkili to beat her. This was literally becoming the order of the day. Ifenkili was always being attacked at random by ladies whose husbands visited her salon. Most of them booed at her, calling her prostitute and ashawo. Ifenkili became very scared for her life. So as much as possible, she avoided going out very early in the morning or late at night. She also avoided walking lonely paths, just so she doesn't meet another angry woman. All the women literally disliked Ifenkili, but Ifenkili did not care. She did not give a hoot because she was making an honest living. The men liked her and her business was successful, and that was all that mattered to her. But one morning, Ifenkili got dressed for work as usual and left her home excitedly and eager to render services to her customers that day. But to her greatest shock, upon getting to her shop, she saw her shop on fire. She screamed and tried to rush inside to save some things, but some men held her down because the fire had already consumed the shop. The whole place was already on fire and it was pointless for her to run inside. Ifenkili cried and wailed loudly. Who did I offend? Who did this to me? All my investments gone. My life savings destroyed. Ifenkili wailed as she fell to the floor, weeping profusely. She went back to her home and throughout that night, she laid awake. She couldn't sleep. The tears just kept on flowing and wouldn't stop. She thought of her life and all the things that she had been through. She had come to Umogili with the hope of a fresh start at life. She had invested all her money into the salon business, and now it had burned to the ground. She was penniless and broke. For many days, she stayed locked up in her house. She refused to eat or drink, and no one even came to sympathize with her or even comfort her for her loss. That was when she realized that the people of Umogili were hostile and very heartless. So after many days of staying locked up in her home, one day, Ifenkili decided to take a stroll so that she could get some fresh air. But to her surprise, she saw some ladies whispering and laughing at her for the loss of her business. And that was the last straw that broke the camel's back. She went back home fuming in anger. I am done. I am done trying to do something legit and to start afresh. These people do not know me. Oh. Hey, hey, they do not know what I am capable of. By the time I am done with these women, I will teach them a lesson. They will never, ever cross my path again. Ifinkili said, fuming angrily. So later that night, she dressed up very seductively and stood in front of her home. And as the men returned from work and saw her, they giggled with excitement, imaginations filling up their heads. Do you like what you see? Do you want some of this? It's just 10K per hour. Ifenkili said, smiling as she pointed to her body. And then Emeka, who was busy smiling like a fish, said, yes, yes. And then all the money which he had earned after a hard day's work, which was 10,000 naira, and which he was supposed to use for his family's upkeep, he handed it over to Ifenkili and went into her home to sleep with her. And this became the order of the day. All the men of Umuogili would branch at her house after work and stand on a long queue, waiting for their turn to have a good time with Ifenkili, and they would give her all the money that they had earned that day. And it was only a matter of time for the women of Umuogili to find out that their husbands came back home empty-handed. They became furious and had come to challenge Ifenkili one day. But to their surprise, it was their husbands who pursued them away from her house. Ifenkili had subdued all the men of Umogili and had put them under her wrapper. As a matter of fact, some of them no longer went back homes to their wives and children. She would just sit in her parlor and some men would be cooking for her while others would be washing her clothes. And as if that was not enough, they would still give her all the money that they had earned that day. Ifenkili became the king of boys. She became stinkingly rich, while the women of Umogili were very sad and hungry because their men no longer came back home or even provided for them. And things continued like this for a few weeks. One day, the women could not take it any longer, and so they came to Ifenkili's house, kneeling and pleading with her to please release their husbands, saying, Ifenkili Bikono, please let our husbands go. We are sorry for how we treated you in the past. Please, we are missing our husbands, and our children are missing their fathers. The women begged, tears streaming down their eyes. Ifenkili stared at them long and hard, and then broke down in tears and said, what did I ever do to you people? I came to Umogele so I could escape from my past life and try and build a new life. But you women were so hostile to me and very unfriendly. I tried to start a business of selling foodstuffs at the market, but you all wouldn't buy from me. Instead, you mocked and laughed at me. You all ganged up not to patronize me or talk to me. You all decided to ostracize me. I was forced into prostitution at a very tender age by my auntie. And that is the only job that I have known all my life. I was trying to have a fresh start at life, but you all bullied me. I opened a salon since the women would not buy foodstuffs from me. Because my father was a barber and had learned how to barb hair right from when I was very little. So I opened a salon so that since the women would not buy from me, then let me sell to the men. But yet, you people still went ahead and burnt my shop to the ground. So since you all do not want me to make an honest living, I had to resort back to the life that I hated, which is sleeping with men for money, just so I would punish you all. Because my auntie that forced me into prostitution did something on my body. She took me to a baba that did something to me. That once any man sleeps with me, I don't care who the man is. He gets glued to me and cannot leave me. So if not that you all came to beg me, and if not that this is not the life that I really want for myself, I would have held all your husbands captive so that you will all learn your bitter lesson. But it's okay. I forgive you and I'll leave your town, Ifenkili said, crying. And they all thanked her profusely. So the following day, she packed up her bags and left Umogili for good, hoping that she would find better luck in the next community that she moves to, and that she would be able to leave prostitution for good and start up a legit business. Hi, besties. It's your favorite storyteller, Omalicha. Thank you so much for watching my story to the end. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on this one. So if you were in Ifenkili's shoes, would you have let the men go just like that? Or would you have held on to them just a bit longer so as to deal with these foolish women? What would you have really done? Please share your thoughts with me in the comment section, and please subscribe to my channel. It's free. Just click the subscribe button. Okay? Support your homegirl Omalicha by subscribing to my channel, liking my videos, and sharing it to your loved ones. So now, till I come your way again with more interesting stories, bye!